I'm me. I know I'm me. Well, so am I. Well, that's not going to work, is it? Yeah, you're right. So, what do we do now? I suppose we'll have to have a conversation. What? Well, we could talk about what we did on New Year's Eve, like how we had a pretty good New Year's Eve. Except you didn't. What do you mean? New Year's Eve 2023, you and Will went down to Perivale to find Matt, who had gone missing, only to discover he was contemplating leaving the channel. And then later, he did. He left. It was his choice. The man whose idea it was to create this channel, the man you co-created it with. I say man, he was a teenager back then, so you could argue boy, but you know who's being pedantic. Anyway, point is, it was sort of partially him who built it all up, and one of the main driving forces behind it. And now he's gone. He was the one who initiated the idea of the channel. We created it together, and I came up with the name. It was, as he said, our baby. And now he's gone. He was a shining beacon on the channel through all the bad times, and even more so over the good ones. It was because of him that we brought the channel back in the summer of 16 when John Nucari became interested. He kept it alive when we had the 2018 hacking, and last year made over 50 videos talking about the best of Doctor Who. A huge output over last year. It wasn't your fault! I know! But I can't help wondering, how long? Because he's not the only one. Yes, Ollie's come back, but he left once before. Jean left and then came back and then left again. Benny also left once and came back. How long till he and Ollie go again? Owen disappeared off the face of the earth. Tiana disappeared for a good while, and whilst not come back as a full member again, they have done cameos, but still, at the time, they also disappeared. And Robert, at least he made a final video. Unlike some of the others who left and came back and then left again. But how long? How long until the next person? Who is next? David's been absent for over a year. What about Thomas and Will? How long until I go? I didn't want him to go. I didn't want any of them to go. So how long until the next one? Well, I believe now it's your time to go. I see. So this was your plan all along. Emotionally cripple me, so that you can then get the drop on me, so to speak. Well, lucky for you, I'm a quick reactor. Mostly. Ah! My arm's too long. Bye! Hello Universals fans, Nick here, and welcome to my review of the second Doctor Who 60th anniversary special, yay, Blue Yonder. Before we start, if in case you're wondering, I am continuing to wear my sunflower lanyard to continue to support disabled actors and characters in media after the unforgivably horrible comments that the actress playing Dan's girlfriend, whose name escapes me, received last series, Series 13 in 2021. Absolutely disgusting comments. So since that review that I've done on my own channel, I've been wearing this in brand new Who videos and rankings for the most parts. And I'm also wearing this LGBTQ plus flag badge in support of LGBTQ plus people, and that's because about 100 and something people complained to the BBC about having a trans person playing a trans character in The Star Beast. Fuck you, complainers. You're transphobes. Thankfully, the BBC withstands and basically shut them all down, more or less, in their response. So I'm going to wear this badge in this review, maybe also for the giggle review, and also I'm going to continue wearing my lanyard for foreseeable future episode reviews and stuff. Released for brand new episodes that air on TV. Right, with all of that out of the way, Wild Blue Yonder, the second of the 60th anniversary specials, and the one that was kept most secret, as people speculated for months about what this episode could be. Would there be returning Doctors, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi coming back, or even Ncuti Gatwa making an early appearance? Maybe the story takes place sometime later down his timeline, and he teams up with his old predecessor in solving the mystery. Was there going to be a surprise returning villain? Someone speculated the Wirrin after the trailer was dropped, the teaser trailer after the Star Beast, specifically the Star Beast Unleashed. Yeah, for that one, they dropped the trailer after Unleashed rather than the episode that just aired. What was the mystery of this episode? What is it all? Well, at the time of recording, it is Thursday the 18th of January 2024, and this video is going to go out sometime around Valentine's Day in February 2024. So it's been about a month and a half since this episode aired at time of recording, and at time of the video going out, about 2.5 months. So it's safe to say that we can be a bit more spoilery in this video. However, if you want to avoid spoilers, stop watching this video now and watch the episode on BBC iPlayer or however you're able to watch your episodes, home media included. Anyway, so Wild Blue Yonder, the plot of this episode sees the Doctor and Donna travelling farther than they've ever been before. Further than they've ever been before. Even more so than New Earth. They arrive on a spaceship at what is apparently the edge of the universe, and they find it abandoned, and only a little robot that they nicknamed Jimbo, one of the things Donna calls people, and that's it. It's otherwise empty and abandoned. So why is this ship abandoned? What happened to the crew or anybody on board? Why is there lots of banging? And why did an airlock open 3 years early and then shut again not too long afterwards? And who might be watching them from the vents or from round the corner? Well, it turns out that we don't actually know what the creatures were, but some sort of mysterious shape-shifting creatures take the form of the Doctor and Donna in order to scare them, to build up their energy, so that they can form more realistically in their universe, and therefore then take over the universe. Who knows what they would have done, what threat they could have posed, but somehow they were willing to do anything, I suppose. But yeah, I'm not really sure what the plan was, even though I did just watch the episode, not that long ago. Again, for the review, just under an hour ago. But they are really scary creatures when shape-shifting into the Doctor and Donna, because what the best doppelganger stories do, and I think this one probably examples it the best, is if you don't know who is who, then it's going to be pretty freaky when when there's the reveal or when someone makes a slip up. It's really interesting putting the dots together. And on rewatches, as well as also when the reveal is dropped, you can kind of pinpoint, oh, it's that particular Doctor or Donna who is the fake, because the actors are putting on a slightly different performance when the penny drops. When they're trying to be exactly the same, it's tricky to tell. But when there's supposed to be an obvious example and they don't have the extended like limbs and prosthetics and stuff, oh yeah, we'll get to that, then there is a slight change in the performance. Like they get more meaner and more creepier and scarier. It's great, and I think this episode is David Tennant and Catherine Tate's best performances, or at the very least for Catherine Tate. David Tennant as the 14th Doctor. I mean, the only other one I probably might say rivals this is Human Nature and Family of Blood, but more on the case of him as John Smith. As the Doctor, possibly here or the Waters of Mars. Waters of Mars would probably come third. So it's kind of between these three: Human Nature, Family of Blood, Waters of Mars, and this story for David Tennant's best performances as the Doctor. And I think I could probably pinpoint them to be Human Nature / Family of Blood for John Smith, Waters of Mars for 10th Doctor, and this one for 14th Doctor. Yeah, it's just wow. And again, Catherine Tate's best performance here. And it's not just as the real selves, but also the doppelgangers, the creatures that manifest as them. They are really dangerous and scary creatures. But I also love that, besides the first 2.25 minutes with the openings in 1666 with Isaac Newton, but once the titles have finished, until about 25 minutes in, nearly halfway, it basically is just the Doctor and Donna on their own, plus Jimbo in his few scenes. And they're just kind of going around the spaceship, wandering and having some really good character stuff. I really like the dynamic between them in this episode. And like they're just talking as people, trying to investigate this mystery, whilst also panicking about the TARDIS disappearing after it being damaged at the end of the last episode, which was a little contrived, I will say that. And also does make me wonder, if they are going to have the TARDIS blow up at the end of the first episode, why didn't they just keep the Whittaker era TARDIS and then have this new one as the brand new shiny one, since it's only 3 episodes? But I suppose that's the same with the sonic screwdriver. You have this brand new sexy sonic screwdriver and then you drop it for a, in my personal opinion, downgrade of a sonic screwdriver. I'm not gonna hate on the 15th Doctor's one. It looks alright, it's just very different to what comes before. Let's see how it's used. Well, it was used pretty well on Ruby Road. How it's used further next series. But as I did talk about this in my own personal review of the Star Beast, that the sonic screwdriver we got here is very underused outside of that episode. I mean, that episode did have it like be maybe a little overpowered, as many people complained about the Sonic being. And then this one, it's used to help fix the TARDIS, but then it goes with the TARDIS, and it's not in the rest of the episode. And next episode, it's kind of just used back to its usual functions and stuff, what it usually is, and then it's dropped. So yeah, I'm kind of comparing the new TARDIS and new Sonic's uses in these specials together, because Sonic, it's kind of like this Sonic was only in 3 episodes. One time overpowered, one time only used earlier on, and then it goes away, and then one time back to normal. And then with this TARDIS, it's like you make a brand new one, and then you blow it up, only for it to be back to how it was before, after being fixed. So, yeah, again, it makes me wonder why they just didn't use the Whittaker TARDIS, and why they didn't just use the Whittaker Sonic for an episode, or Shooty keeps the 14th Doctor Sonic. Just add with the addition of the Gallifreyan symbols with a Rwandan proverb, which is a lovely touch to the new Sonic. That's probably the best bit about it. I don't know. I'm not Ross Davis or the producers, so you can't ask me. You guys theorize about it. So what really carries this episode is the performances from the actors, as previously mentioned, but also the cinematography looks absolutely brilliant. I believe it was Tom Kingsley, a director of the Ghost series, that directed this episode, and it looks absolutely brilliant. The visual design of the spaceship looks brilliant. I will say this episode does have a couple of fake hokey effects, mostly the explosions and also the larger creatures when they're getting bigger. There's some really good visual effects with it though as well, but I think the best stuff is the interior of that spaceship, where it is pretty much almost all CG and green screen, but also the spaceship design itself and the space. So the episode does have a mixture of the visual effects styles, and some of them look absolutely exceptional, and some of them do look noticeably hokey and fake. Not as bad as some of the ones from the Whittaker era, specifically the later series, but still a little obvious. And I think we're gonna be saddled with that. It is funny because when we look back at series 1 to 10, specifically like 1 to maybe middle of the Moffat tenure, the visual effects for the most parts aren't that obviously visual effects. Even if they may be dated by now, they at least look realistic enough. But sometime during the Moffat era, or when we got to the Whittaker Chibnall era, the visual effects kind of started to look more fake. And I think it's probably because they started getting more overused. And the overuse was certainly apparent during the previous tenure. This tenure has managed to tone it back down a little bit and or make it less obvious for the most part. Yeah, it still seeps through a little bit, but for the most part, they seem to have toned it down a little bit, and we get a bit more practical stuff as well, which is really nice to see. Like, that car is so cool. I want to go on that car. That has to be a ride at whatever next Doctor Who experience or exhibition they open up like next time. Just like, even if it's not really the car going all around a specific zone, just have it like a little ride thing where it goes side to side and forward and backwards, and you've got the screens around you, and you're like in an experience. That would be so cool. BBC, get on with that. And the fact that they were able to use puppet prosthetic arms and knees and stuff for when the creatures are showing off those bits earlier on, that's really cool and really shows off the mixture of the practical and visual effects really well, and making it look really realistic. The directors, production crew, and the editors and visual effects team did a fantastic job with all of this stuff, and the practical effects guys as well. They did all a fantastic job with making this episode. It looked stunningly brilliant for the most parts, and yeah, and even more so than the previous episode did. That being said, Rachel Tilani is still my favourite director of the trilogy, because she's one of Doctor Who's best directors ever. I will also quickly touch upon the pre-title scene with Isaac Newton. I don't care about the race change. It's not historically accurate, but this show isn't always that historically accurate anyway. I mean, it tried to be like a historical educational show back in the 60s with sci-fi elements in some of the stories alongside the sci-fi planetary stories, but they weren't really hugely accurate. It would leave out a lot of historical details or get some things wrong. And then more recent series have kind of played fast and loose with some elements, historical elements, while still trying to tie in with that historical theme and stuff. Well, not necessarily getting things wrong, just kind of taking their own spin. Like, take William Shakespeare is very different to how he probably would have been in the real, was it 1599, 98, 1590s? He's pretty, was it 15, might have been 80s, late 16th century, let's say. Like, William Shakespeare in the Shakespeare Code is very different to a late 16th century Will Shakespeare. Agatha Christie obviously did not lose her memories due to an alien wasp. Charles Dickens obviously didn't get a rejuvenation of life towards the end of his, life, because of meeting the Gelf. The whole kerfuffle about getting Rosa Parks on the right bus at the right time, obviously that didn't happen in real life. Her just defying the situation just happened, but there was no one messing about behind the scenes trying to make sure she was on or off that bus. And whilst Nikola Tesla may have tried to contact Mars, he didn't get a signal back from the Skifra. Oh, and for Moffat era representation, I'll also say that Vincent and the Doctor never fought a invisible monster physically. He fought a mental invisible monster, Depression, but not a physical one, the Crephaeus. Also, if Robin Hood ever was real, he never fought robots. So, yeah, most of these are coming from Mr. TARDIS's tweets about how, yes, Sir Isaac Newton wasn't Indian, but this so-and-so didn't do or weren't this in the episode, Doctor Who could play fast and loose and change some things up, but still be not necessarily historically accurate all the time, but you know, if not faithful, then at least homaging. And I threw in a couple of other examples as well. So, at least the ones I think might have been, but yeah. So I don't mind Sir Isaac Newton being Indian in this episode because it's 2 minutes of an episode that's not really about him. If it was an episode about him, maybe. Mainly for historical accuracy, but because it's 2.25 minutes of an episode that otherwise has nothing to do with that opening, yeah, don't care. Don't really care. And the actor did really great, so whatever, I guess. Also, hashtag black people in media. Though, that being said, it is a bit weird that that scene's even in the episode at all. I suppose it kind of opens the gate for a potential time period between the Star Beast and Wild Blue Yonder. The 14th Doctor and Donna could have some stories in expanded media between, because you can't really do it between the end of this one and the start of the Giggle. But I suppose with that caveat of the TARDIS being a bit out of control and not being too far away from it to get back to it quickly to then get to the events of this story, which is why I think most of the 14th Doctor expanded media stories that are going to come, like mostly the short stories, are going to be set before the Star Beast with 14 on his own. Although I do have to check out the January 2023 Doctor Who magazine comic to see what that story is about, because that's a 14th Doctor comic story. I don't know if it's with Donna or not though, so I know it's not Liberation of the Daleks Part 15, that's definite. The pre-title scene doesn't really serve much of a purpose here, apart from to establish the new Mavity running joke throughout the series, where gravity is now called Mavity due to Isaac Newton mishearing the Doctor and Donna saying the gravity of the situation. But, other than that, it's fine. The final thing I would like to mention is Wilf returns. And this was a wonderful moment to see Wilf back, especially after Bernard Cribbin's passing. But we knew he'd filmed his scenes for his episodes, and it's so lovely to see Me Old Soldier one more time. It has that sort of finale feel to it, but to the characters, this won't be the last time. This and the start of the Giggle, it won't be the last time. However, as we know now, and they probably even knew about it when they were filming this episode, or wrapping up filming on it, and starting pre-production on the series, or mini-series, that this would be the final time we see Bernard Cribbins as Wilf on screen. I salute you, Me Old Soldier. Thank you so much for everything, especially as Wilfred Mott, and also Tom Gamble in Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD, which you were great in. Thank you, Sir Bernard Cribbins. And whilst it could be argued that Wilf seeing the 14th Doctor, who has the same face as the 10th Doctor, robs the end of time, which is the opinion that channel friend Jenny has, which, in fairness to you, that if that's your opinion, fair enough. But in my opinion, it's quite nice for him to see it again. It doesn't rob the end of time, because that one is still the Doctor giving up his life for Wilf, and then they see each other one more time here, and it's a happy reunion. Even if he's got his old face back, the same face he gave up to save Wilf, it's nice to see that now he's got it back, he can make Wilf happy one more time. So I think it actually works here. So overall, Wild Blue Yonder is a brilliant middle episode of this trilogy of specials. Has some of the best acting performances, direction, visuals, and scares of this miniseries and the RTD era, second era overall. It is such a brilliant episode. So good. And I love that it's mostly a two-hander or four-hander, really. Much like how Heaven Sent is a mostly solo outing for the Doctor on his own, only occasionally bumping into the Veil or Clara in his Mind Palace, as well as the little boy at the end. Other than them, it's basically him on his own. And like that episode, this one works really well. This is the Midnight/Heaven Sent of this era, and it absolutely rocks. It's great. It's creepy and scary, with a really good mystery and really great character development. I mean, did you see the scene where the Doctor confronted the fake Donna, and she basically talked about the flux and basically highlighting how the events of the previous Doctors affected the Doctor, and now the flux itself is now a big major character point, and much like how the Time War was back in with the 9th and 10th Doctors, now the 14th and 15th Doctors have the revelation of the Timeless Child and the flux as the big baggage they've got, as well as also the stuff 11th and 12 went through. And whilst there is an ambiguous reveal about the Doctor's life which ties in with the Timeless Child and the half-human stuff, the flux thing is most definitely a big previous event that the Doctor is going to feel affected by for the rest of the fifth, well, at least this incarnation's life, and possibly into 15s as well. Certainly the whole being adopted thing, or supposedly being adopted, is definitely going to be a big factor into the 15th Doctor's character, or at least and his relationship with Ruby. So as I mentioned, this is a brilliant character episode, especially since it's only mainly David Tennant and Catherine Tate as the Doctor and Donna, and their fake doppelgangers throughout the run of the episode. And even then, the doppelgangers don't really make themselves known until 20 to 25 minutes in. And even then, until we get to, if this was a classic series story that was 2 episodes long, what would be the cliffhanger to part 1 of the story? Because it's such a well built up first half that, yeah, it's really good. Yeah, so good. And the second half is really creepy and really scary. And yeah, it's so good. I suppose it did take some Ark in Space elements as well, but with the Heaven Sent and Midnight elements thrown in as too. Some absolutely brilliant stuff. And I suppose it's technically based on The Siege, so Troughton fans rejoice. I'm looking at you, Will Maddox. So after all of that, I will be giving Wild Blue Yonder a 10 out of 10. Yes, it's that good. This episode is so, yeah, as I said, good. It's so good. Almost everything this episode does is absolutely fantastic. And even the things that don't quite get to the fantastic levels don't deteriorate the rest of it, and still contribute in their own nice little way to the episode overall. When I first saw the episode, I didn't really know what to make of it, other than the fact that I liked it, and there was a lot of brilliant elements to it, but I still preferred the Star Beast over it. But then, rewatching it, my opinion swapped on those two, and Star Beast went a little bit down, while Blue Yonder went up. Then I saw the Giggle. More on that next time. But more recently, I have believed, because that one I did prefer over this one when I first saw it, and maybe even on a rewatch. But I'm going to rewatch that episode soon, and then do the review on that for you guys. So stay tuned. It should be out next week. But yeah, I think at this point now, even before rewatching The Giggle again for the next review, I think Wild Blue Yonder is definitely my favourite of the trilogy, and favourite 14th Doctor story, 60th anniversary / series 14, open brackets / season 40, season 40 / season 1, not sorry about that, close brackets, specials. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Ha 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 ha.
What was that?
Ha 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 ha.
Did you guys hear something?
Ha 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 ha.
Wait, I know that laugh.
Ha 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 ha. Oh, but you are recognizing me. Are you not her pain?
Oh, Stooky. Bill.
We meet at last, Nick Payne of the Universals.
Looks like we've got another big bad to fight on this channel, Universals fans. I'll see you guys next week for the Giggle review. Take care now. And whatever you do, don't play any games with any celestial beings.
Ha 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 ha.